You know that feeling when you scroll through a dozen masonry saw listings, see a sleek 14-inch blade, a decent horsepower rating, and a price that looks like a bargain only to end up with a machine that coughs up dust, drags around the job site, and leaves you cutting slower than you thought you'd be. I've been there, and the frustration of spending a few $100s only to discover the tool isn't actually usable on a real construction site is something I try to help people avoid. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. When I first started looking at portable saws for cutting pavers and brick, the biggest hesitation was the water management claim that every brand seems to brag about. In practice, that claim can mean the difference between a clean cut and a cloud of silica dust that you have to vacuum for hours afterward. The Husqvarna MS360 promises a patented water management system, and that caught my eye because I've seen cheaper models that just spray a mist and still leave a mess. I also read a few forum threads where contractors complained about the weight of traditional saws and the need for a separate cart, so the fact that Husqvarna offers an optional adjustable stand that one person can actually move around the site felt like a real solution, not a marketing gimmick. Let's talk about who this saw really fits. If you're a professional mason, a small to mid-sized contractor, or a serious DIYer who regularly installs patios, walkways, or brick veneer, the MS360 hits a sweet spot. The 14-inch blade is the most common size for residential paver and brickwork, letting you make clean, straight cuts without the need for a larger, heavier saw that would be overkill for a 4-inch thick block. The 1.5 horsepower motor gives enough torque to slice through standard concrete blocks and stone without stalling, and the dual voltage, 115V/230V, means you can plug it into a standard job site generator or a heavier outlet if you have one. The water management system actually channels water right onto the blade and into a small reservoir, which means far less airborne dust and a cleaner cut line, something you'll notice instantly if you've ever spent an afternoon wiping down a work area after using a dry cut saw. Now, if you're the sort of hobbyist who only cuts a few tiles a month in a garage, or you're looking for a tool that can handle massive structural concrete, you might want to skip this one. The MS360's blade size caps the maximum depth you can cut, so very thick slabs will require a larger saw. Also, the optional stand is sold separately, and while it's designed to be adjustable and collapsible, it does add to the overall cost. Some users have mentioned that the base unit still feels solidly built, which translates into weight around 45 pounds. So if you need to lug it up and downstairs daily without a cart, you'll feel that heft. Finally, the water tank isn't huge. You'll need to keep an eye on the level during long runs, especially on hot days when evaporation is faster. In a real-world scenario, I imagine, say you're laying a new patio and need to cut a series of 12-inch pavers to fit around a garden edging the MS360 shines. You set it up on the optional stand, adjust the height so the blade aligns perfectly with the paver surface, and turn on the water system. The blade bites cleanly, the water suppresses dust, and the cut is smooth enough that you don't have to sand the edges later. Because the setup is quick, no need to assemble a separate cart or attach a bulky dust collection hood. You can move from one section of the yard to the next in a matter of minutes, which adds up to real-time savings on a multi-day job. Another common use case is trimming brick veneer on a renovation project. The saw's portability means you can take it up a narrow stairwell, set it on the stand at a comfortable height, and make precise cuts without pulling a heavy machine up the stairs. On the downside, the water system does require a steady water source, so if you're working on a site without easy access to a hose, you'll need to bring a large bucket or a portable pump, which adds another piece of equipment to manage. The optional stand, while handy, can wobble a bit if you're cutting on an uneven surface, so you may need to lay a piece of plywood underneath to keep everything level. And because the motor is 1.5 horsepower, you'll notice a slight drop in speed when you push through particularly dense stone. Nothing catastrophic, but it means you have to let the saw do its work rather than forcing it, which can be a habit shift for people used to higher-powered models. Value-wise, the MS360's price sits in the mid-range for portable masonry saws, but the real savings come from the reduced cleanup time and the ability to move the tool without a separate cart. When you factor in the cost of dust control measures,